Holy shit, let's go, baby. Steven Spielberg is so back, dude. Let's go. So if you guys couldn't tell, I just came back from watching Disclosure Day, Steven Spielberg's brand new movie in theaters. And oh my gosh, am I excited to talk about it. Oh my gosh, we're just having such a good year with movies. The horror movies this year have been banging. And Steven Spielberg just made an amazing movie. What a time to be alive. Disclosure Day is about a branch of the US government trying to stop these, I guess, rebellious workers from leaking some very sensitive information to the world. They say it's because they don't want to mess up the world even more and have everyone go into mass panic. But the protagonists of the movie, the ones who are rebelling, are saying it's for the good of the world and that everyone needs to know this information that they're about to release. And my gosh, this movie was such a good time. The theater was packed. So many fans, so many Spielberg fans there. Talked to a few people. They were also excited about the movie. And yeah, the vibes were just super high after this movie was done. First of all, I just want to talk about how much I love the camera work in this movie. Steven Spielberg is a master behind the camera, and it is just on full display in this movie. The way he uses lighting in each scene, the lens flares off the scene, oh my gosh. The scenes were just so beautiful to look at, and some great sequences. I remember the camera did this thing where it was spinning around the characters, and that just added to the overall feel and the atmosphere of this movie. There's one scene where one character is in I guess it's like a cornfield type of thing. I think it was in the trailers, but basically crop circles started to form around them as the camera was spinning around him. Let's talk about the plot really quick. I kind of mentioned it a little bit ago. So basically it's this group of, I guess, rebellious workers from the US government that kind of get a hold of some top secret information, and they feel it is their right and their duty to release it to the public and have everyone know. Meanwhile, the government clearly and obviously, as the government usually does, doesn't want that information out. So I guess you have this one guy, he's like the lead of the government or whatever branch that is, going after the rebellious group. Mostly it's the main character of the movie. They're kind of chasing after him because he has not only the information, but he has this object that they obviously want in their hands. There's this character behind the scenes who is he's always on the phone, he's calling the characters, trying to set things up. You don't really understand what's going on with him. He's always in this room where it looks like it's like a Hollywood set where they're placing fake props, fake couches, fake plants, doors and all that, and you're constantly thinking like, what the hell is going on in there? He's constantly giving like directions like, oh, at 8 o'clock you need to be at this location, they're going to be a pickup. Hey, you need to leave right now, the government's after you. Like, just constantly on the phone calling different people at different times. You're kind of confused who he is, what's going on with him, why he's calling. The movie does a great job of having you keep these questions up throughout the film and slowly giving you the answers in a satisfying way. I never felt like the movie dragged in any way when I wanted answers. At the same time, there's this reporter character played by Emily Blunt. She's basically this reporter in Kansas City who feels as though she's at a place in life where she doesn't quite fit in anywhere and she doesn't really know her purpose. She has a great job, everyone recognizes her around the city, but she just feels like she doesn't quite belong. And she gets kind of this psychic gift that the government realizes she has. They're chasing kind of both people. And obviously things intertwine, things get crazy. I'm honestly gonna keep it there with the plot. One big negative I've had with this movie, and it has nothing to do with the movie itself, it has to do with the marketing. I think that this movie was extremely poorly marketed in the sense that I think the movie would have been 10 times better if in the marketing we didn't know very specific things about what happened in the film. I guess this is a spoiler or not spoiler, depending on if you saw the trailers or not. This is in the trailer and it's heavily involved in the marketing, but the information that is being withheld from the public and that these crusaders are trying to release to the public is the fact that the government is well aware of the existence of aliens, and in fact there are aliens on Earth and they are experimenting on them. I'm just so sick and tired of these companies putting out these movies and explaining almost everything in the trailer. I mean, at the end of the day, we probably could have guessed the fact that this information was aliens. It's one of the biggest things that the government is hiding from us in a sense. And once they bring in these devices that the characters have throughout the movie, they look very alien-like, and I'm sure like the audience would have put 2 and 2 together and figured out it was aliens, but I just wish there was a bigger reveal in the movie about it, and the trailers didn't tell us what was gonna happen. I guess they gotta get butts in the seats, but I'm just thinking about how much better the movie would have been. I mean, the movie is great, but how much even better the movie would have been if like it was kind of a secret and you kind of found out later. Maybe it's just me. Let's not take away anything from the movie because the movie was great. So let's go back into the positives. Whoa, that's gonna suck to edit later. I love the way this movie starts. It starts you right into the action. It gives you a whole bunch of questions right in the beginning of the film. Basically, they're at this wrestling match, and the government agents are there along with the main character, and they take this bag from him, and then they have this dialogue talking about, like, you need to give this back to us, you need to give this item back to us, be careful, don't use that item, it's really dangerous. And you start having all these questions like, who the hell are these people? Why the hell does this guy have this bag? Why does he have this alien-looking object? And then they hand this girl back to him. You're like, why the hell is this girl being kidnapped? Who is this girl? Like, immediately my mind was racing thinking about answers. That's just what I appreciated. I love the fact that this movie didn't start with the characters working in the office and then figuring out, you know, the tapes and then leaving and then this happened. Like, that would have been way too much stuff happening in the beginning. I love the fact that Spielberg started right in the action, got you hooked, got you asking these questions. It's an amazing hook, an amazing way to get the audience excited to watch the rest of the movie. Now, while the movie's about like aliens and trying to, you know, disclose it to the world, the movie also has these bigger themes and bigger questions that the audience is left kind of contemplating throughout the film. There's a character who used to be a nun or just heavily involved in the religious scene. And basically, once she finds out that these aliens exist, she starts questioning her religion, just like her spirituality, what if there's a bigger being, and if there is a bigger being, you know, is it the aliens? Like, should we still worship them if there are aliens? Like, what's this dynamic? Like, how does this work? And it's explored beautifully in this film. She's not the only character that kind of goes through a religious crisis, but she is the main one. And I love the answers that the movie gives you. I love that they're exploring these deeper topics. This movie totally could have just been an action film about the government chasing these defectors, but no, it takes that extra step to include characters like this religious girl to kind of make you think deeper about just religion and God itself. And I can really appreciate this movie for doing that. Also, as Spielberg tends to do very often, he is amazing at crafting tense scenes. I mean, this is the dude that made Jaws. This is the dude that made Jurassic Park. This dude is an expert at making tense and exciting scenes. While he isn't in his prime anymore, he's still got it. And this film has some white-knuckling tense scenes. There's a scene with a car chase that turns into a train chase. There's a 30-second window in there that like I was gripping onto my seat like this. There's another scene at a dinner table. Well, I guess it takes place during the day, so more like lunchtime, but it's at this table where two characters are sitting across from each other, and one's trying to get the other to do something. Intense stuff. The camera, the way the scene is cut together and the camera angles that Spielberg chose to use in this scene really elevated it for me and just created such a memorable scene for me. That, and like I said, the car scene are going to be two scenes that I remember from this movie distinctly. And I guess the end of the film is pretty satisfying. They show pretty much everything that you as an audience member would want to see. They leave it on a bit of a cliffhanger, but I like where the movie ended off. Like, I didn't need to see anything else. In fact, it could have ended a little bit earlier, but hey, no complaints. I was happy the way it was. So I do have a couple small negatives with the film. Nothing too crazy. There's a device that the characters have. I mentioned it's like this piece of alien technology, and it's kind of confusing on what exactly this device does. You feel like you got a sense of what it does throughout most of the film because it kind of does the same thing, but then about halfway through the movie, it kind of switches up its powers and then it switches it up again later. So you're kind of like, okay, wait, is this just like able to do anything that the character wants? Is it a specific set of things? But it acts as like a convenience tool, like whenever the characters need to kind of get out of a sticky situation. it saves them many times. So it does kind of feel like a plot device sometimes to move the story along when maybe there would be kind of a halt in the story, or the bad guys like could win in a situation. Next, it's not really a negative for me, but I feel like it's a negative for, I guess, the general audience. Some of the ways that the characters show off their powers might come off a little goofy in a sense. For me, it wasn't an issue. I was able to kind of brush past that and imagine a world where that could be a reality. But some of the powers that anchor reporter lady uses sometimes get a little silly. And while, like I said, it didn't bother me, I feel like some people watching this movie might be taken out of the movie during those scenes. I had a couple people in the theater I was in let out laughs during those parts, and I know that it wasn't necessarily supposed to be funny. Don't get me wrong, there's moments of comedy in this movie that land and they're really funny, but those scenes specifically weren't meant for comedy. Finally, my last kind of negative with this film is there's a scene at the end of the movie where it looks like, you know, the heroes are going to be stopped and the government is going to win. Something very abrupt happens, and something that I know for a fact would not have been able to happen if it was a real life situation. You're like, damn, like it's over. But then something happens and I'm like, oh shit, like how did that happen? How does that even, like, how does the government even let that happen to make the characters still have a chance? You know what I mean? And yeah, that's Disclosure Day. I mean, I'm so happy that this movie is out in theaters right now. This feels like kind of a return to form. Spielberg and aliens, or Spielberg just with any extraterrestrial, they just go hand in hand. I mean, this is when Spielberg is at his best, when he's telling a story like this, the supernatural, the fantastical stories. I mean, Spielberg just crushes these films. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll see you guys in the next one.